All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Homestead Miami Speedway. Outside of Homestead, Florida, this 1.5 mile track is the site for tonight's BRR race. Right now, we are looking at the 55 of Harley Barletta. We will be talking to him here in just a moment. Stick around for that. In the meantime, we're coming back from a wild race last week at Talladega. And that is kind of at the top of the agenda today, is trying to recover some points. We got a couple of guys like a David Garman. He lost 4 positions in points after Talladega. JJ lost 2 positions in points. However, guys like Jared Heasley jumped up. AJ Godsey managed to slip up into the lead. Nobody really surprised there. Kellen Mitchner jumped up a couple of spots as well. And looks like Jeff Hinkle moved up a spot as well over the last week after the race at Talladega. That has shaken up the points for the season so far quite a bit. You can check them out at brrpoints.com yourself if you want to see where your favorite driver is. However, we're going to take a quick look over them. So far, the drivers locked into the championship playoffs are AJ Godsey, Kellen Mitchner, Jared Heasley, and Harley Barletta, each with 1 win each. However, the top 10 goes AJ Godsey, Kellen Mitchner, Kyle Holden, Jared Heasley up to 4th, David Garman back to 5th, Jeff Hinkle, JJ Parr, Harley Barletta, Aiden Trevette, and Rick Sargent round out your top 10. Got several others that are a little bit further back in the field that have made some decent gains over the last week. Nicole Creasel's moved up a couple of spots. Larry Ashby's moved up a couple of spots. And I fully expect some guys like Zach Henson. We had a truck race here last night. Zach was pretty good here. I fully expect some of these guys to take what we learned about the line, tire wear, etc., and put it to good use in this race tonight. However, we do want to talk to one man in particular before this race. Hey Harley, this is Doug in the booth. You got me?
Yeah, what's up, Doug?
Hey buddy, so you joined BRR into last season, and in the last race here, you were the dominant force, and then got beat on a last caution pit strategy type thing. So you got a different plan for tonight, or?
It's pretty much the same. I mean, recent updates have kind of changed the tire model and the way the track drives a little bit, so it's going to be a little different tonight. I'm seeming to be a little slower in practice right now, but it's the long run that counts because I don't feel like we're going to have too many cautions. So
if the truck race last night was any indicator, no, it'll be a lot of green flag laps tonight, and currently you're 6th on the speed charts, not that far off. You got just a couple of tenths of a second between you and JJ, David Garman, AJ Godsey. Aiden Trevette and Kyle Holden seem to be running away with it so far, but you think those two are going to end up burning their tires off?
yeah, I think it's going to be me that burns the tires off. I didn't get too much practice in this week, only a little bit on Thursday and a little bit earlier today when I was trying to stream, so.
And you are driving a new paint scheme tonight, a Kodak film. Is that the throwback scheme?
It is, but this is the exact one that I ran last season too, that I dominated with. So it's my lucky Kodak car.
Your lucky Kodak car. All right. Hopefully the yellow throwback Kodak. I like seeing these old paint schemes from back when I was young, back on the track. So that's really cool to have that.
Don't give any crap about the number not being red. I like it black.
I was going to let that one slide for tonight. We'll talk about it later, though.
Oh, man.
All right, buddy. Best of luck to you, and hope to be talking to you after the race.
Thanks, man. Have a good one.
You too. And we have just a few minutes here, so let's see if we can talk to AJ Godsey real quick. Hey, AJ, this is Doug in the booth. You got me?
Yeah, I got you, Doug.
Hey, you jumped up into the points lead after Talladega. Obviously, the points are a bit shook up now, and you're currently third fastest on the track. Are you looking to be the dominant force tonight?
I wouldn't say dominant force. There's been a lot of fast people, especially in practice on Thursday, but I think we'll be up front, hopefully be there at the end.
Awesome. So, did you learn anything from watching the truck race last night that's going to help you here tonight?
No, nothing I didn't already know really, but I don't know. Their race went caution free for the most part. I think they had one late caution there, so if that trend continues, that'd be good for me. I like the long runs here.
You got the tire saving. It was a bit hard on tires, and I know Harley said a minute ago that the tire model's a bit different. Does that play to your advantage or disadvantage?
I think it plays to my advantage. I've always been better on the long runs.
Awesome. Well, best of luck to you tonight, man, and hopefully we'll talk to you after the race.
Yep, hope to see you there.
All right, that was our fearless leader, AJ Godsey. Hey, good evening, Becky Flowers and Scotty Too Hottie. Yes, we are cheering Scotty on. Let's see if I can find Scotty real quick. I'm going to do this under the condition he does not make a comment that angers me again. Hey, Scott, this is Doug in the booth. You got me? Hey, Scotty Too Hottie, you got me? Looks like Scott might be having some difficulties there. We'll try and talk to him again later on in the night. Just can't get a hold of him yet. All right. And a huge shout out, as always, to Jared Heasley running my paint scheme, although on a Toyota instead of a Chevy. But can't fault him at that. That is a beautiful paint scheme running the MS and trigeminal neuralgia awareness colors, ribbons, and the HTSAI logo. So very cool thing for him to do. And while they are finishing up, we got just a minute left, and then we'll get to watch some qualifying. Do want to say that tomorrow night we will have the Outcast Dirt Boys. The 305s go live at 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central. Then immediately after at 10 Eastern, 9 Central, we will have the 358 mods. And they will be running in the dirt. And starting Tuesday night, real huge announcement. If you were on the Facebook page, you have seen it. We will be broadcasting the XCal series starting Tuesday night. We will have more about that on the podcast tomorrow. Obviously, we'll have more about it tomorrow night. We'll have more about it Tuesday. We're going to be talking about it for a while. It's kind of a big deal for us. We're really excited about it. Got to be honest, a bit nervous about it too. But looking forward to broadcasting the XCal guys. That is going to be awesome. They've been around for quite some time, off and on. So one of the bigger, more well-known leagues in the iRacing community. Really glad to have them on. And practice is wrapping up. So far, the young man, Aiden the Kid Trevette, in the number 11, has been fastest out there in his Pennzoil car. So we will watch his qualifying laps. As we talk a little bit about this track, it is a 1.5 mile track, but not your standard quad oval. It's 2 long straightaways and 2 high banked 18 to 20 degree turns. It does have progressive banking. There is Aiden the Kid Trevette going out to qualify. It does have 18 to 20 degree progressive banking. It has 3 degree banking on the straightaways. But here's the fun part. As you see Aiden rolling out, he has to take the access road to exit. They do not have to use the access road to enter pit road. That is going to be key because this track has a tendency for long green flag pit stops, and when you get to that pit road entry, it can be a bit tricky to get woed up. So we're going to see a lot of a potential of accidents coming to pit road as Aiden gets a little bit loose coming off turn 4, and he's probably going to try to restart that. He did not cross the start finish line, so he's going to try and get that lap in again. But we will see quite a bit of excitement going on to pit road tonight. Right now, it is Harley Barletta at the top of the board, but as we all know, AJ Godsey comes along at the last minute to qualify and make everybody look bad. And I'm looking forward to seeing Mike Smith and Larry Ashby towards the front tonight as well. It looks like Aiden is still struggling with that loose car. Hang on to it, kid. He got it straightened up coming off turn 2, but that was a bit of a ride there. As he comes around to try and complete his first lap. We'll see if he struggles with that. Now, it is interesting to note, the wind tends to blow across turn 4. You'll see that in 1 and 2, these guys might have a really good run in 1 and 2, but everybody last night was saying the same thing. They were struggling off turn 4, and turn 4 is where we're going to see some passing done tonight. Anybody who gets bound up or just can't get off turn 4 tonight is going to get passed by those who can. The wind apparently blows kind of across the corner from the turn 4 exit, more or less across to the center of turn 3 at an angle, and that can throw the cars for a bit of a loop. Give me just a moment, Graham. I'll be happy to drop that into the chat. Looks like Scotty Too Hotty might be back at his car, but we are really late in the the qualifying session, so we'll try and talk to him under caution here in just a little bit. Under the strict understanding that he does not talk about Jar Jar again. All right, just 50 seconds left to go. Most everybody is qualified. Let's see. It looks like Kyle Holden manages to just edge out Harley Barletta by 7 thousandths of a second. And then Aiden Trevette just a couple of hundredths of a second behind that. And then AJ Godsey is, I mean, the top 10 are extremely close. But it is Kyle Holden and Harley Barletta will be the front row, followed by Aiden Trevette and AJ Godsey. David Garman rounds out the top 5. Then you have Jeff Hinkle, Jason Rome, Zach Henson, Jared Heasley, and at the last minute, Scott Snodgrass bumps into the 10th place spot, bumps Kevin Reed back to 11th, JJ Parr is 12th, Mike Smith is 13th, Stephen Gibson's 14th, Kellen Mitchner's 15th, Matt Johnston 16th, Larry 17th, Richie West 18th, 19th is Rick Sargent, and 20th is Topher Baltimore. Shout out to Jeff Hinkle tonight. He is tonight's race sponsor. And we are lining up on the track. And here they come, getting everybody loaded out there. It looks like 21st is Nicole Creasel. Bill Percy is 22nd. Cheryl Newman back there in 23rd. RJ Buchanan in 24th. Look for those two to work together and work their way to the front. Mark Radford is 25th. And Brian Oshanka back in 26th. Kind of a shock from Brian. He's usually a really good qualifier, so it's kind of surprising to see him that far back. He may not have qualified tonight. We will see what happens. And thanks to everybody who's watching both on Facebook and on Twitch tonight. And immediately after the race, we will, as quickly as possible, get the videos put on YouTube. All races are live broadcast on Facebook and Twitch, and then the videos are put on YouTube, including we'll try and get the videos up from last night before the night is out. We did have a couple of fun races, trucks here and ARCA cars at Talladega. And here they come around. There is Harley on the outside of Kyle. The 11 car of Aiden Trevette inside AJ Godsey. We will see who's aggressive, who's patient, and the story tonight will be tires. They only have four extra sets of tires tonight, so it's going to be of 125 laps. They are going to have to make those tire sets last. Green flag is in the air. Kyle gets a good jump and brings Aiden Trevette with him. Gets a good run off of turn 2, and Kyle's getting away from the field. Aiden Trevette to the inside. The 55 of Harley Barletta up high in turns 3 and 4. Gets a bit of a run. And here comes the 06 of David Garman. Just passing AJ Godsey. Looks like he's going to move up into 4th place. Slips AJ back to 5th. You heard AJ say his strong suit tonight will be the long run. We will see if that plays out. Harley is another one that is really good on the long run, so we will see what happens. Let's drop back and check in on my buddy Scott Snodgrass, the number 22. There he is. He's the one that, look at that beautiful paint job Scotty Too Hotty Designs does. Does some great work for everybody in the league and for our 24-hour endurance cars. And, of course, the 32 of Jared Heasley in that beautiful car. Back up front, it is David Garman and AJ Godsey side by side. Garman was actually, let me double check, I believe he went into Talladega 1st in points, came out 5th. AJ went in 3rd in points, came out 1st. So the points got shook up quite a bit, and the top 3 are just 9 points apart. 4th, 5th, and 6th, just 4 points apart. So it really closed up the points battles for now. And that may come into play if one of these guys can't get a win and they need to get in on points. We will see how that plays out as the season progresses. Now the 18 of Kyle Holden got a good jump on the track, but 5 laps in, he's already got Harley Barletta in the 55 Kodak car right on his back bumper. And let's hop back and look at the 23 tonight's race sponsor. There is Jeff Hinkle making a move under Jason, looking to the inside of Jason Rome. Looks like Jason they swapped places a few minutes ago, and Jeff doesn't want that. He's going to come try and get his position back, try and get back up into 6th place. Right behind them is the 24 of Zach Henson. Zach was pretty strong here last night in the trucks, especially on the long run. And while you don't learn a lot about the way the car handles, you learn a lot about the track progression as the night goes on. So he seemed to have learned quite a bit last night. Right behind him, there is J.J. Parr in 9th, Jared Heasley in 10th, and the 64 of Kevin Reed in 11th. And it looks like we have had a change of the lead. Harley Barletta got around Kyle rather quickly, actually. It looks like the last time we saw him, he was just sitting there on the back bumper, but he has taken off. He has already opened up almost a 2nd lead. He's only been in the lead for a little over a lap. At the beginning of lap 7, he was not scored in the lead. By lap 8, he was. As they come down the backstretch, let's hop back. We were looking at the 11th place car of Kevin Reed. Right behind him is the 22 of Scotty Too Hotty Snodgrass. He is currently running in 12th. Steven Gibson right behind him in the 21. He is currently shown in 13th. Behind him is Kellen Mitchner. We saw Kellen dominate at Martinsville 2 weeks ago. He is back there in 14th. I don't expect that to him to be back there for long. Looks like he's starting to close back up. He ran that Martinsville race, ran most of that race on a single set of tires and a single tank of fuel. So we'll see if he can do the same thing again here, make a set of tires work extra long and keep moving up. Right behind them in, looks like 15th place, is the number 14 of Mark Radford. Being followed immediately by the number 1 of Richie West. Matt Johnston in the 93. Right behind them in 17th. And Topher Baltimore in the 73 behind them. And we've got a pass for position. Looks like that is the 95 of Bill Percy to the inside. Bill ran really strong last night. Expect to see him moving up throughout the night. Behind both of them is the 20 Rick Sargent. And the 44 of Brian Oshanka is 21st right now. 34 of Larry Ashby is back there in 22nd. Don't expect him to stay back there long. He is probably one of the best at saving the car and making it last longer than anybody else. RJ Buchanan right behind him. Then the 8 of Cheryl Newman. There's Cheryl in her PPG car tonight. And let's see, the number 6 of Nicole Creasel. And looks like Mike Smith might be having some problems. Yeah, it looks like Mike Smith might be off track at the moment. We'll have to wait and see what we find out from pit reports. Currently, it is still Harley Barletta still holding on to about a 7/10 of a second lead right now over Kyle Holden. And if I had to guess, Harley got enough of a lead, he can keep him behind him and backed off just a little bit. That's what he has a tendency to do. He has gotten very good at saving tires, even taught me a thing or two. And as this race goes on, they will start to get more single file spread out, and that's what we were talking about in the pre-race. This race will stay green most of the way. The tire wear, fuel mileage, all of that is really going to come into play tonight, something we haven't seen a lot of this season. Aiden Trevette still holding on to third place with AJ Godsey in fourth right behind him. And AJ looks like he might be closing up on the kid. Looks like David Garman in the 06 is back there in fifth place. And he's got the 23 of Jeff Hinkle right on his back bumper. And the 23 is looking to make the pass right here off turn 4. This is going to be where a lot of these passes are made. It's going to be turns 1 and 2 are not as, you'll see some moves made there, but not as many as you will coming off of turn 4. Just something about that end of the track, the wind and everything else seems to affect the car, and whoever can get off turn 4 the best generally tends to be some of the fastest cars up toward the front. Looks like David is not giving up, and this will impact their tires running side by side. It'll also slow them down. That'll give AJ Godsey a little bit of breathing room behind him. And looks like there might be a change about to happen up at the front. The 55 of Harley Barletta has slowed down too much, and it looks like Kyle Holden is closed right up to his back bumper. But Harley's taken off again. Might have had a bobble there, but now he's got Kyle right there back in the draft. Here they are coming off turn 2, and you can see multiple different lines being used. Some of these guys will be running right up on the wall. Harley's way up there towards the wall, and the 18 is down by the bottom, and some of these guys will be running right in the middle. This is definitely a track, has multiple lines around it, and they get worked in more and more as the race goes on, so you'll see those lines used more and more to save tires and gain some kind of advantage. And it looks like the 18 is making a move to reclaim the lead coming off of turn 2. Can't complete it coming off turn 2. He's going to dive off into turn 3. The 55 comes a little bit lower on this lap, trying to carry a little more momentum. 18 drifts up. Oh, they almost touch. The 18 has the advantage going into turn 1. Harley's probably not going to fight this one too terribly hard. He's trying to save some tires for the long run. They're going to have to run out at least a tank at some point tonight if they don't get cautions. Those tires are starting to feel a little rough right about now. And it looks like Harley was thinking about the crossover, thought better of it, and backed off. He's going to sit back there. Maybe he's not. Harley looks like he might try and come back. Nope, he does not have anything for the 18 of Kyle Holden right now. 18 back to the lead. While that was happening, that allowed the 11 of Aiden Trevette to close back up. He was almost 2 seconds back. He is now he's gained a half a second just in the last few laps. And AJ Godsey, here he comes. He is currently running in 4th place and running down the 3rd place car of Aiden Trevette. Both cars seem to be running down those lead 2 cars. Fastest lap so far of the night has been run by Harley Barletta, but the fastest last lap was ran by the 18 of Kyle Holden. Closing in on just 100 laps to go. Let's go find a couple of cars that are close together. How about we go find the 22 of Scott Snodgrass. He is in the middle of a battle. Coming off the back straightaway side by side with Jason Rome. Looks like that is Stephen Gibson in the 21 right behind him. So we'll hop in the 21 here as we come out of turn 4. And take a ride around Homestead. There you can see the start-finish line coming down the front straightaway. And you see 3 different lines being used through turns 1 and 2 here. Looks like the 81 got a little bit higher than he intended to, and the 22 just takes advantage. That is Scott Snodgrass right in front of him. Oh! Stephen Gibson has a little bobble coming off the turn. Manages to hold it. They go off into turn 3. Come off of turn 4, getting back on the throttle, and the 81 comes shooting back by. That is a lap around Homestead in 31 seconds. And in that exchange, the 22, Scott Snodgrass, picked up a couple spots. He moves up to 8th, trying to chase down the 32. Right in front of him, that is Jared Heasley. And it looks like the 5 car of AJ Godsey has slipped back a couple of spots. He is now back to 5th. The 23 of Jeff Hinkle is on a charge. Looks like he might have saved a little bit more tire than everybody else, because he is currently up to 4th and running down the 11 car very quickly. Let's see, last lap by, he was 0.2 of a second faster than Aiden the Kid Trevette. Hey Graham, we would love to have you run it with us, buddy. And Jeff Hinkle closes right up to the back bumper of the 11 car, and they are closing down on the 55 of Harley Barletta. Looks like Harley has lost quite a bit of speed. The 18 of Kyle Holden is still running the fastest laps out there right now. 0.3 of a second faster than Harley Barletta, and the only car matching his speed currently, Jeff Hinkle in the 23. '55 of Harley Barletta currently in second, but he's about to have his hands full. The 23 is making the move for third. Tries to get a little bit of run off of turn 2. Can't complete the pass just yet. Gets down into 3 and 4, gets a decent run through the corner, but just not enough coming up off the turn. It's going to take a lap or two, especially as 30 laps into the run, their tires are starting to get a bit rough, a little bit harder to drive. Looks like he finally completes the pass coming through 1 and 2. He's moved up to third. That is Jeff Hinkle in the 23. And now he's going to run down the 55 of Harley Barletta. Looks like the 06 of David Garman must have had some kind of a problem. He is on pit road, 12 laps down. Mike Smith looks like he might be out of the race. And it looks like before too much longer, we are actually going to start to see lap traffic come into play, especially for the number 1 driver in the 18 car, Kyle Holden. Looks like the lap car, or the cars of Mark Radford and Nicole Kriesel, are not that far ahead, as well as Rick Sargent, Cheryl Newman, and Larry Ashby. Not very far ahead. They will be coming into view. The question will be, will pit strategy come into play with some of that? We'll have to see how long these guys can run. They do not run a full fuel load. They're running about 70% fuel load. And it looks like we've got some cars coming off pit road. Looks like Topher Baltimore in the 73 is coming off pit road. He just pitted, so there is your answer. About 33 laps in now. He might be the first one on pit. He is the first one to pit, but he will be as much as 2 seconds a lap faster than the cars that are still out there. It looks like Topher might have gotten a speeding penalty. He is going back to pit road. So he was trying to play some pit strategy there, but got caught either speeding or unsafe pit entry, one of the two, and that has forced him to come back to pit road. Looks like we'll probably start seeing some more cars at about another lap or so. We should start seeing a lot more cars start hitting pit road. Some of these guys further back will take advantage of fresh tires, try to run up towards the front. At this track, on a tire run, you can successfully unlap yourself if you are fast enough and a little bit of luck on your side. It's fairly easy to unlap yourself. At 2 seconds a lap faster, it only takes about 15 laps. You can unlap yourself. If the timing works out, you can gain a lot of positions by an early pit, or it can end up biting you. It's often hard to tell. Topher might actually be okay. If this thing stays green, he will easily be able to recover 1 lap, possibly 2. As the 73 is back on track, currently being scored 2 laps down. Let's see where he is in relation to the leader. There he is at the start-finish line, and it looks like Kyle Holden is right behind him, so he will be able to run away from him just a little bit. And in the meantime, while we've been watching all this activity in the back, Jeff Hinkle is making the pass for second place on Harley Barletta. That pushes Harley Barletta back to third. Well, he's not done yet. And Harley just doesn't have the tires to keep fighting with Hinkle, and Hinkle is going to move up into second. Last lap, the fastest lap. Let's see who the fastest was this time by. Fastest was Scott Snodgrass in the 22. And where is Scott? There he is. Scott has worked his way up to 7th already. Looks like he is closing the gap on AJ Godsey as well. And in about 3-4 laps, they can split this to a 2-stop race. We will see. I really expected to see more pit stops before now. I'm surprised we haven't. But we will definitely start seeing them at about lap 42 to 45. As the 22 is closing in on the number 5. There you see he closed up a lot on that lap. He is right on the back bumper. AJ is just going to move up and say, okay, you can go on by, Scott. I'm not going to fight you, buddy. Off into turn 1. Scott definitely has better corner entry, and he is going to try and complete this pass coming off turn 2. Just about got it. And Scott takes 6th place from AJ Godsey and continues to march forward. Checking Scott's lap times, he's actually faster than Harley, Aiden, and Zach Henson last time by. So he's Zach is less than 2 seconds ahead of him, and a couple seconds in front of him is Aiden Trevette. So we'll see him catching back up to the field before long. Kyle Holden still up there in the lead. And looks like the 55 of Harley Barletta is coming to pit road, lap 42. He gave up 3rd to come to pit road. We will see when the 18 pits. Yes, that is a very pretty car. I run with them on Saturday nights, Graham. Yeah, that 22 is a very pretty car. He is very good with that shiny thing. I can't remember what it's called now. Looks like the 11 of Aiden Trevette is on pit road now. Jared Heasley in the 32 is on pit road. Jason Rome's on pit road. The 22 of Scott Snodgrass looks like he might be slowing down. He assumed 4th with all those pit stops. Kyle Holden, Jeff Hinkle, and Zach Henson all still out in front of him. AJ Godsey, Stephen Gibson, Richie West still out behind him. No, we've been seeing a lot of cars on pit road. Looks like Rick Sargent is on pit road. Jason Rome, Jared Heasley, Aiden Trevette, Kyle Holden, Zach Henson, Jeff Hinkle all came to pit road now. And Scott Snodgrass, if he can get past the start-finish line, will assume the lead. Richie West and Kevin Reed both still out. Larry Ashby is also still out in the 34 car. Does not look like Scott is making the approach to pit road quite yet. Yes, he is. He's turning down. He's going to relinquish the lead. I do believe that is going to give the lead back to the 18 car of Kyle Holden. No, we will see how this plays out. Due to scoring and some of these guys staying out, looks like Scott Snodgrass, Richie West, J.J. Parr, Kellen Mitchner, Matt Johnston. In fact, the only cars still out on old tires, Kevin Reed in the 64 is still out. He has assumed the lead. Larry Ashby, R.J. Buchanan, Bill Percy, Brian Oshanka, Cheryl Newman are the only ones still out there. We will see how far they can stretch it. It looks like the 64 is going to duck down pit road. The 34 is going to duck down pit road. 19 is coming, and I do believe we will see the 8 on pit road as well. Yes, we will. That is Cheryl Newman. Bill Percy in the 95 assumes the lead. Green flag pit-stops. We'll see how long he can stay out. Brian Oshanka right behind him in the 44 car, also staying out. We will see if this pit strategy starts to play off for some of these guys further in the back, staying out just a little bit longer, stretching the fuel, stretching the tires. If they get a well-timed caution, they could end up in the catbird seat with everybody behind them. As you see, the 93 going to the outside of the 95. He's trying to unlap himself. That is Matt Johnston. Now, caution is out. Caution is out. What a lucky break for the 95 and the 44. All right, looks like we're looking at the 14. That is Mark Radford. He had just been in, just on his outlap, and just smacked the wall, caught the inside wall, and caught the 22 of Scott Snodgrass. Scott was on a charge and just got caught there. Hopefully he can get his fast repair, get back out. We've seen Scott come back from far, far worse than that, so I have no doubt he can make a comeback here. But that does give Bill Percy the lead. Way to go, Bill. Way to go. And that'll give Bill Percy and Brian Oshanka a chance to get fresh tires from the front of the field. That's also going to put everybody from about 16th on back a lap down. Or several of these guys are going to be caught a lap down. Hey, Harley, this is Doug in the booth. You got me?
Yeah, what's up, Doug?
Hey, buddy. Looks like it's been a pretty quiet race up until just a moment ago. So, what's your car feeling like?
It's feeling like I burned the tires off like I said it was going to.
Well, did you figure anything out to get your way back to the front?
Yeah, but I'm not going to share that in case anybody else is listening. So
10-4. I was just asking the question, not expecting you to share. Well, best of luck to you, buddy.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you. That was Harley Barletta. We saw him up front early on. Let's see if we can talk to Bill. Hey, Bill, this is Doug in the booth. You got me, buddy?
Yeah, go ahead, Doug.
Hey, man, you were leading that race there for a few, and looks like the strategy is going to pay off for you a little bit.
Hey, me and Brian's back there talking. We just got lucky on this one.
Well, sometimes you'd rather be lucky than good, bud. I hoped you had a pretty good hot rod, running some great times. So hopefully you'll be get back up there to the front.
Yeah, thanks, Doug.
All right, best of luck, Bill. All right, that was Bill Percy. He was leading earlier in the race, or just a few moments ago, prior to the caution coming out. And it looks like after that caution, it puts him back in about 13th place. Let's see where he was working with Brian. They are about to 13th and 14th. We'll see if their strategy pays off. They definitely have fresher tires than a lot of these guys. You're going to see Larry Ashby, and it looks like the 15 are both going to get waved around. Larry Ashby and J.J. Parr. Kyle Holden will assume the lead with Aiden the Kid Trevette and Jeff Hinkle. There's the 23 of Jeff Hinkle. These two guys in front of him got to be worried right now. Jeff was storming to the front. 22 of Scott Snodgrass is still showing as being on pit road. I'm not sure what happened, but now he's coming off pit road, so he should be able to look like his car may have died. He got had to get towed. That put him a couple of laps down, but the way Scott was moving to the two fastest cars late in a run so far have been the 23 and the 22. Maybe it's a 20 thing. Steven Gibson's up there towards the front in the 21, so is Zach Henson in the 24. I guess the number 20s are doing the best tonight. We'll have to wait and see. Yeah, every time Scott has a good run going, he gets caught up in bad luck. Hopefully he can recover, because he certainly is getting really good at recovering from bad luck here lately. But that 18 and 11 have to be worried about that 23 car. They have not seen the other 20 cars come charging to the front yet, but the 23 and the 22 are going to be the two to keep an eye on, especially if they get a quick caution, 22 gets back on the lead lap, all bets are off. He was coming. And that 23 has been hanging out in the top 5, now up in third as we watch the pace car duck off. Kyle gets a good jump on the restart, almost had an accident. The 21 got a good jump, but the car behind or in front of him did not. The front three have gotten away clean. Looks like Steven Gibson and Zach Henson have almost gotten together a couple of times since the restart. Almost got together coming off of turn 2. Looks like the 23's letting the tires come up to speed. He was a little bit slower on the start of the race, but as the race wound on, he came charging forward. Drop back and check on the number 95. That is Bill Percy. There is 22 of Scott Snodgrass right in front of him, charging back forward, trying to get his laps back. There's Bill Percy currently running in 14th. Right behind him, Brian Oshanka in the 44. Here comes the 15 as well. J.J. Parr right there in the 15 right behind him. And let's hop back up front. The 18 is run away on fresh tires again. But here comes the 23 of Jeff Hinkle. He is using a little bit more tire this time. He's got the 5 car right behind him. That is A.J. Godsey in the 5 car with right at 70 laps to go. They can make it on one more stop if they split the distance. There's a few cars in this field like Harley Barletta, Matt Johnston, Bill Percy, Brian Oshanka that they've got a few less green flag laps on their tires, and that will definitely pay off for them as the run goes longer. These front 6 cars are on the same pit stop strategy. And the fastest one on old tires on the last long run was that 23 car. But here comes AJ Godsey. We will see if he has figured something out. And it looks like the man charging to the front right now is the 55 car. He said he figured something out on that during that race, or that first long run. We'll see if it pays off for him. Looks like the 34 is going to pit road. That is Larry Ashby, and he's showing several laps down, but I'm not sure what happened. He had gotten waved around on the restart. And jumping back here to the 22 of Scott Snodgrass, he is still working his way forward. Sitting right there in front of Mark Radford, trying to, oh, Scott got a little loose coming off of 2. A few of them have to avoid him. None of those are for position yet. And let's hop back up to the leader, Kyle Holden. Currently has a 2-second lead on the 5 car of AJ Godsey. Now the 5 car was faster on fresh tires. The 23 was faster on old tires. So we'll see if this thing stays green. The 23 of Jeff Hinkle has a distinct advantage, unless AJ figured the trick out, and he is going to come charging forward on old tires as well. And they've got the 21 of Steven Gibson right behind him. Steven hanging with this front group right now after a little bit rough on the restart. Right behind them, the 55 of Harley Barletta. He is charging back towards the front. He's got something figured out, but he's got Zach Henson in the 24 right behind him, and there is that beautiful 32 car coming to the front. Currently in 7th is Jared Heasley, also known last week as Ricky Bobby. Right behind him we have the 1 car of Richie West and the 64 Finelli that is Kevin Reed in the 64, and I just went blank on his sponsor name, but give me 2 seconds. He is currently running in 9th. Started in 11th, and one to definitely kind of keep an eye on. If he starts coming to the front, he is one of those that is better on the long run. And that Finelli Ironworks paint scheme. The 18 of Kyle Holden continues to lead, but AJ and Jeff are closing the gap down. He had 2.5-second lead just a couple laps ago. AJ and Jeff have cut it down to 1.5 seconds, and they are coming quickly, but the fastest car last lap was the 21 of Steven Gibson. He is currently running in 4th place, and he has the 55 of Harley Barletta trying to close the gap up behind him. And you see how fast these cars are coming by. They're shaking the cameras. And haven't talked about him much tonight, but let's hop back to about 11th place. There is the 47. That is Kellen Mitchner. He was the winner at Martinsville. Just a dominant performance at Martinsville, to be honest. Ran that most of that race on 1 set of tires, 1 tank of gas, and managed to hold on to the lead when everybody behind him had fresher tires. And we've got some moves going on right behind him. I believe that is the 15 of JJ Parr. And it looks like the 95 of Bill Percy back there. Looks like Bill got a taste of that lead, and he is not ready to give up on that just yet. He's got Brian Oshanka. Those two are working together tonight, as you heard Bill mention. And he keeps trying to get that run down into turn one. The 15 of JJ Parr there to the outside. If he can get a little bit of a run. It looks like the 11 of Aiden Trevette is coming off pit road now. Not sure why Aiden, the kid Trevette, gave up his position, but he is back towards the back now. But he will be on fresher tires than anybody else at this point. 59 laps to go. I don't know that he can make the distance on fuel, but I guess we're going to find out. And here comes Jeff Hinkle in the 23. Just a second and a half back. It looks like AJ Godsey has slipped back just a little bit from Jeff. And it looks like AJ might have about to lose third place. Here comes the 21 of Steven Gibson. And the 55 of Harley Barletta is coming towards the front as well. Just taking a look, the fastest lap last time was obviously Aiden Trevette in the 11 car. He has the freshest tires on track right now. The front two cars ran literally identical times last lap. But the fastest of the top five looks like it was Steven Gibson in that 21, and we're seeing that play out as he passes AJ Godsey. Looked like AJ briefly thought about trying that crossover maneuver, thought better of it, and backed off. He's going to let him go and save some tire for late in the run. There is the 23 of Jeff Hinkle. He is still closing the gap. He is under a second now from the 18 of Kyle Holden. And he is closing quickly on Kyle. Just watching the times, every time they go off into the turn, he gains a little bit more time, gains a little bit more on the 18 of Kyle Holden. Steven Gibson still back there in third, and looks like he is trying to run down the cars in front of him as well. AJ Godsey currently in fourth. In fifth is the 55 of Harley Barletta. Right behind him is the 24 of Zach Henson. And in seventh place, still moving to the front in the Finelli Ironworks car, that is Kevin Reed in the 64. Immediately behind him is that beautiful 32 car driven by Jared Heasley, and currently being passed by the 11 car who's a lap down. Let's see. Yep, just one lap down. That is Aiden Trevette trying to catch back up, get his lap back. Aiden currently running in 18th place. 9th place is the number 1 of Richie West, currently the biggest gainer on track so far tonight. He started in 18th. He's already up to 9th place. Looks like Steven Gibson also has gained about the same, a little bit more actually. Steven Gibson started in 14th. He is up to 3rd. Right there is Kellen Mitchner. He is up to 10th, started in 15th. And right behind him, charging to the front, that is Bill Percy in the 95, started in 22nd. He is up to 11th and coming forward fast. 93 of Matt Johnston there. He is in 12th, followed by JJ Parr in the 15. currently running in, JJ is currently scored in 13th, but he is looking to change that right there. The 44 of Brian Oshenka right behind this pack. And he's got the number 19 of RJ Buchanan right behind him. RJ currently in 15th place, started in 24th. There's the 81 of Jason Rome. We saw him struggling a little bit earlier in the race, getting through turns, especially on cold tires. He was slipping and sliding a little bit. Looks like he's got it hooked back up and starting to move back forward. He is currently running 16th. Right behind him is the 20 car. That is Rick Sargent. Aiden Trevette in the 11 car. I do believe he just regained his lap. Nope. Not quite, but he is almost there as you see him running down. That is the 21 of Stephen Gibson, the third place car, and you can see the difference in the tires. Aiden's tires are 11 laps old. Stevens are 33 laps old, and you can see the difference in speed. Over a second in speed difference. The kid is a second faster right now, so he's going to be running down the 23 of Jeff Hinkle as Jeff tries to regain Kyle Holden. .49 laps to go. I would imagine we saw the last pit stops at around lap, we started seeing pit stops around lap 42. And then we got the caution just about 28 laps ago. Pit strategy will really come into play here at the end because some of these guys have a little bit more fuel and a little bit more tire, and you saw Bill Percy take advantage of stretching that mileage out. Let's check and see. It looks like the 22 of Scott Snodgrass has gained a little bit of time on the track, but not a lot of position back yet. Of course, we saw him get a little loose and have to try and stay out of the way earlier. Got a few cars back. It looks like he has repassed several of those cars. He is definitely back up to speed. He's running lap times on par with the leaders. So hopefully he can run back up, reclaim that lead lap position, and get back in it. Larry Ashby, don't know what happened to him earlier, but he is currently showing 4 laps down, as is the 14 of Mark Radford. Mark Radford was the one that had the accident on the front stretch. That collected the 22. Back up front, it is still Kyle Holden. He has actually built a little bit of a lead on the 23 of Jeff Hinkle. There's the 23. And looks like the 11 of Aiden Trevette is just about to get back to the lead lap. He is closing down on the leader quite rapidly. And you got to know, Jeff Hinkle liked having that car pass him. That gave him a little bit of drafting help, if even for a couple of straightaways. But it looks like he has lost that drafting help. Jeff Hinkle slipped back to about 2 seconds behind Kyle Holden right now. There is the 18 of Kyle Holden. There is the 11 of Aiden Trevette. 44 laps to go. These guys have been out there for 39 to 40 laps on their tires, except for a few who pitted under that caution. The only caution of the race so far. So Pit strategy is going to be important. You go in too early and you're going to burn up your tires towards the end of the run, but if you go in too late, those who pitted earlier than you have the fresher tires and can run you down really quickly. But everybody can go the distance from here. We saw everybody, most of these guys made it 42, 43 laps. As they get 42 laps to go, everybody can go the distance. So I'd imagine we're going to see at least one or two people that are going to try and pull off going the distance from here. We'll keep a close eye on the stats and see if anybody decides to go to pit road. The 73, that is Topher Baltimore. Looked like he was a little slow coming through 3 and 4, but he is back up to speed. Looks like it might just be a... Nope, he was really slow on that lap. I'm not sure what happened. Oh, looks like he just pitted. He was the first to pit. Did not see when he went to pit road. Looks like AJ Godsey is on pit road. He's done the math. He knows he can go the distance. Looks like Topher and AJ are the only two on pit road currently. There is the 18 car. The 11 car is finally getting his lap back. He has fought pretty hard to get that lead lap position. Kellen Mitchner and JJ Parr are both on pit road, giving up, I believe, 9th and 10th. We've got some cars starting to move to the front as several cars are on pit road. Should see, looks like Steven Gibson is now on pit road, giving up 3rd place. Jeff Hinkle, Kyle Holden still out. Of course, the 23 car, he was definitely faster on the old tires. I don't expect to see him pit anytime soon. But we will see who comes back by. Coming off 3 and 4. Nope, Jeff is not looking low. Kyle did not go to pit road. Harley Barletta is still out. And Kevin Reed sticking with Harley. They are now up to, looks like 3rd and 4th. Zach Henson in the 24 is on pit road now. There is Zach. He gave up, I believe, 4th place. And that changes up the front. The top 5 is now Kyle Holden and Jeff Hinkle, 1st and 2nd still, but Harley Barletta, Kevin Reed, Richie West round out your top 5. Then you got Jared Heasley. RJ Buchanan in the 19 just hit pit road. He was up to 7th. He is on pit road now with 37 laps to go. Several of these guys saw the strategy work really well for Bill Percy, so we'll see. Looks like Jason Rome is on pit road as well. Bill Percy obviously is going to stretch this out, as is Brian Oshenka. Brian is currently running 7th, being scored in 7th. Bill's currently being scored back in 10th, as the 5 car now back off pit road, working his way back around traffic. AJ is currently being shown 1 lap down. Kyle Holden, Jeff Hinkle, still the front 2 cars. They cannot afford to stay out too terribly long as the leader comes to pit road. The 23 comes to pit road behind him. So the front 2 are on pit road. Let's see if Harley Barletta or Kevin Bernheimer go for it. No, they both are staying out. Harley Barletta should assume the lead. Yeah, Harley Barletta to 1st. Kevin Reed to 2nd. Brian Oshenka should be scored up to 3rd. Richie West. Nope, I stand corrected. It looks like it'll be Matt Johnston and Bill Percy or be your top 5 after scoring cycles. And we know these two can definitely stretch the mileage on their tires and on their fuel a lot farther with 34 laps to go. And the 44 and the 95 back behind them, they don't need tires or fuel for several more laps. They can go even farther than the front two right now. As you see the 23 of Jeff Hinkle back out on pit road, or back off of pit road, excuse me. Kyle Holden is off pit road. They are all being scored a lap down. Looks like it is scoring AJ Gotze, Kyle Holden, and Jeff Hinkle all got off pit road quickly enough that they are being scored on the tail end of the lead lap. And Kevin Reed in the 64 is starting to look low. Is he coming to pit road? He lets the 21 of Stephen Gibson by on the outside. 64 comes to pit road. Harley Barletta maintains the lead. He is going to be following the 21 of Stephen Gibson, who is on the tail end of the lead lap as well. Brian Oshanka in third, Matt Johnston fourth, and Bill Percy up to fifth now. And they've got these guys on fresh tires closing in on them rapidly. Looks like Bill is just about 5 seconds ahead of AJ Gotze. After pit stop cycle with no caution, it looked like AJ will assume the lead. Harley Barletta is on pit road. That will give the lead to the 44 of Brian Oshanka. We'll see if Brian stays out. He's got a handful right behind him, as here comes the 19. And those fresh tires, you can see the difference they make right there. As the 44 looked like he might have tried for pit road, missed it, and he stays out. We'll see if he pits next time by. Looks like Bill Percy will assume second place in the 95 car. We'll see if Bill pits anytime soon. I believe he can go about another 10, maybe 15 laps. Brian is still out. He has got 4-second lead over Bill Percy, but AJ Gotze in the 5 car looks like he is about to take second place from Bill Percy. And he did. He just assumed second place, and he's going to bring the 81 back there with him. And Brian Oshanka and Bill Percy both come to pit road. So after pit stop's complete, that'll put AJ Gotze in the lead. Kyle Holden second. Jeff Hinkle third, Stephen Gibson fourth, Zach Henson fifth. Kellen Mitchner still working his way forward pretty quickly. I do believe that'll put him up to sixth place. JJ Parr in the 15th, now up to 7th. He'd been outside the top 10 most of the night and just quietly worked his way forward. We've seen him and Kellen, looks like they're almost working together. He's got Richie West right behind him. Almost said Richie Ryan. If you get that reference, drop it in the chat. I'll be impressed. Looks like Harley Barletta is currently in 9th out there on the outside. It looks like he is charging past Richie West and JJ Parr, and looks like he's going to try and run Kellen down as well. Now currently the top 10 are split by just about 15 seconds, but this small group here is all close together, and then Zach Henson is about 8 seconds in front of them. Just a little under 8 seconds in front of him. Harley Barletta is one of the fastest cars on track. Aiden Trevette was fastest last lap. He currently has the freshest tires on track as well. Looks like the 22 car, Scott Snodgrass, still a couple laps down, back in 22nd place after that, getting caught in that early caution. And Kyle Holden has taken the lead back from AJ Godsey throughout all of this excitement going on, and now is opening up a bit of a lead. AJ is currently back in 7th, and he's got, or I'm sorry, AJ's currently back in 3rd. Jeff Hinkle just took 2nd. The 11 car of Aiden Trevette there, he is currently being scored in 15th, 1 lap down. That young man is also storming his way around the track. His pit cycles are a bit off from everybody else's. Looks like he stopped about 8 laps after everybody else, so he does have the freshest tires on the track right now. There's a few other guys like Brian Oshanka and Bill Percy stopped about the same time. Bill Percy currently, him and Brian, last ones to pit, currently 16th and 18th. And there is Kyle Holden currently leading with 22 laps to go. Jeff Hinkle in the 23 race sponsor for tonight. There is Jeff. Currently in 2nd, 2.5 seconds back, and let's see here. And looks like he is actually running a little bit slower than Kyle Holden. Maybe he got a bad set of tires on this one, on that last stop, because he is not running as fast as he was previously. AJ Godsey, of course, back in 3rd place. Steven Gibson in the 21 currently running 4th, and a smattering of cars right behind him, including the 24 of Zach Henson. Looks like the 95 of Bill Percy working on getting his lap back. Bill's currently in 17th. Zach Henson right there, he is in 5th currently. He's got the 44 Brian Oshanka right behind him working with Bill. Brian is in 18th. Harley Barletta back in 6th place at the moment. 14 seconds back from the leader, but get this. He has closed that gap between him and Zach from 8 seconds to just 3 seconds in the last few laps. So he is running down the 24 car quite rapidly. He is on about 7 lap fresher tires, excuse me. And behind him in 7th place is the number 1, that is Richie West. And the 8 car of Cheryl Newman currently running in 20th right behind Richie. Kevin Reed in the 64. He is in 8th. 9th place is Kellen Mitchner. Just a quick look at the points. This will definitely help Kellen in the points, but it will give Kyle a big jump. Kyle running 1st and AJ running 3rd. He'll be able to close that gap down, just 9 points between them. Jared Heasley currently back there in the 32 car. He is running in 11th. RJ Buchanan right behind them in 12th. There's RJ. There is Larry Ashby in the 34 right behind RJ. He is currently being scored in 23rd, several laps down. And let's see, hopping back up here, the 20 of Rick Sargent is currently in 13th. The 11 of Aiden Trevette currently being scored in 14th. Jason Rome in the 81 in 15th. Looks like he has recovered a little bit from some problems earlier in the race with the handling of the car. Matt Johnston in the 93 in 16th. Of course, Bill Percy in 17th. Brian Oshanka in 18th. And then the 73, where is he? Topher Baltimore. There is Topher. He is currently 19th, and the 8 of Cheryl Newman is in 20th. Nicole Creasel, haven't seen her much tonight. Where is Nicole? There she is. She's currently running in 21st, and Scott Snodgrass in 22nd in the 22 car. Mark Radford is in 23rd in the 14 car. Larry Ashby 24th, and David Garman and Mike Smith both out of the race. Back up front, it is still the 18 of Kyle Holden. There's Kyle. And he has 3.5 seconds over Jeff Hinkle at this point. Nobody will need to stop. So if this thing stays green, it's going to be a tough run for the 23 to get to the front. The only hope he can hope for is that the 18 struggles in traffic with these lap cars. Looks like only the top 14 are on the lead lap, and some of those are just barely. Aiden Trevette, Rick Sargent, both just on the tail end of the lead lap. And there is Aiden Trevette right in front. There he is in the 11 car. He is currently running in 14th place, and he is in danger of going a lap down as well. Looks like the 18 of Kyle Holden just has managed to save tires better than anybody tonight. That's what this really amounts to at this point. Jeff Hinkle in the 23. And while we're looking at Jeff Hinkle and talking about the fact that he is sponsoring the race tonight, huge shout out to all these guys that everybody pitched in, sponsored. Everybody's pitched in, helped sponsor races. Everybody, a lot of these guys like Scott Snodgrass have helped paint cars for everybody else. Scott painted our 24 hours cars. So great group of people. Everybody works together. A lot of these guys, like last night, we get together, we do a few fun races, and then we'll go and hop in something together and just have a blast. But everybody helps everybody else. Great group of guys that everybody works together really well, and a lot of respect on and off the track for everybody in the league. Just looking at the points real quick, Jeff Hinkle came into this race just 2 points behind David Garman. David is out, so Jeff will easily take 5th. And he was 4 points behind Jared Heasley. Jared is currently running 11th while he's running in 2nd. So he's going to pick up several positions. He won't pick up any on Kyle Holden. But Talladega, we figured, was the biggest race, the biggest points shakeup. But tonight is definitely going to change the look of the points just a little bit in the top 10. And I would also expect to see that number 95 car of Bill Percy probably is going to pick up quite a few points as well. Currently running 16th, and looks like he is running down a few people according to the scoring. So just taking a quick look at BRRpoints.com. You can go there. Jason will update it tomorrow afternoon. Yeah, it looks like Bill will pick up quite a few spots. Let's see who else. Looking at the top, looks like Harley might pick up a few. Rick Sargent. Zach Henson will pick up quite a few. He's currently 13th in points, but 5th on the track. 8 laps to go. Kyle Holden has a 3.5 second lead. Jeff Hinkle currently pretty securely in 2nd. Looks like the 55 of Harley Barletta has moved up into 3rd. Zach Henson has moved up to 4th. Looks like AJ Godsey, the last couple of laps, has just fallen off. His lap times are slowing down quite a bit more than everybody else. Might have burned those tires up. There's the 24 of Zach Henson. We were just talking about the fact he is 13th in points, but he is going to start, he's going to make up quite a few points. That'll probably put him pretty close, if not into the top 10 tonight, after tonight's race. Harley Barletta has already secured a spot in the playoffs, as has AJ Godsey and Kellen Mitchner. Yep, AJ Godsey, Kellen Mitchner, Jared Heasley, and Harley Barletta have all secured their spots. They have won to get their place in the playoffs, so this one will secure Kyle Holden. And Kyle's had a pretty consistent season so far. Five laps to go. Does not look like Harley's going to be able to run down Jeff Hinkle, but the last few laps, it looks like Hinkle is... Looked like there for a second he might have closed the gap a little bit, but... Looks like he's just holding a steady about 3.2 to 3.5 every lap. Just not gaining any real ground on the 18 of Kyle Holden. 4 laps to go. Kyle Holden is going to have to deal with lap traffic like Kellen Mitchner right in front of him in that 47 car. Just got around Aiden Trevette. Kellen is in 13th right now. Aiden Trevette in 14th. Kyle manages to clear both of them pretty quickly. 3 laps to go. And due to the green flag nature of the way this race has stayed green with just the one caution tonight, not a lot of side-by-side battling at this point. Everybody's pretty well lined up where they're going to end up. And wait a minute, I said that too soon. The 22 of Scott Snodgrass has picked up a couple of points. He is up, or a couple positions, currently up to 20th, trying to run down the number 8 car of Cheryl Newman. He's at the start-finish line. Cheryl's in turn 3. I don't think he can close that much of a gap with 2 laps to go, but he has picked up a couple of positions, recovered a little bit from that accident early on in the race. As we come through turn 3 and 4, Kyle Holden will take the white flag. Yeah, I have told Scott to remove those magnets from his car, but he doesn't listen to me. White flag lap, and it's Kyle Holden up front. Jeff Hinkle is going to manage to bring home the 2nd place spot tonight. Harley Barletta brings it home in 3rd. Zach Henson currently in 4th. Steven Gibson 5th. AJ Godsey trying to hold on to 6th. Looks like he might have a little bit of a battle on his hand. This is the 64 of Kevin Reed and the 1 of Richie West are trying to take positions from him. And the 5 of AJ Godsey slips back. Here comes Kevin Reed, and he's got Richie West right on his back bumper. Not enough. It looks like Kevin will come home 6th. Richie will come home. Well, maybe not. We're running to the line. And Kevin gets him by a nose. It is Kyle Holden in the 18. Just a dominant performance tonight. Let me see if I can find Mr. Holden and we'll talk to him. Hey, Kyle, this is Doug in the booth. You got me?
Hey, Doug, what's going on?
Hey, man. You were pretty dominant most of the race tonight. Congratulations.
Oh, I appreciate that, Doug. Yeah, I put a lot of practice in, so just really helped out.
On that first green flag run leading up to the caution, it looked like towards the end of that first run that Hinkle was closing up on you, but that second run, you just kind of ran away with it. He didn't even have any advantage on the long run.
Yeah, I was just saving tires. I knew I had a pretty big gap, so I was just trying to save tires. And then whenever you would get close, I would just start pushing a little bit again.
Well, it was definitely a great strategy, and it definitely paid off tonight, man. Congratulations.
I appreciate it, Doug. You have a great one.
All right, you too, buddy.
Thanks.
All right, that was race. I don't know if I can get him. There we go. That was race winner Kyle Holden in that number 18 car. That is definitely going to help him in the points, and definitely going to shake up the top 10 just a little bit. Jeff Hinkle picked with David Garman finishing 25th. Jeff Hinkle and J.J. Parr will definitely pick up some spots. Jared Heasley might gain a little bit on these guys. Kyle Holden will probably pick up a spot on Kellen Mitchner. That will probably move him into second. A.J. Godsey finishes. A.J. Godsey comes home 8th, so it's going to be very, very close. We saw the gap in the points tighten up a bit last week after last week's race. This week it really shook it up yet again, so we're going to see if tomorrow in the points, if there's a new leader. In the meantime, for everybody at BRR, definitely check us out tomorrow night for the right here on Facebook and Twitch live. We will have the Outcast Dirt Boys in the 305s at 8:30 Eastern, immediately followed by the 358s. We will have, for the first time ever, XCal Racing's League Tuesday evening. You'll definitely want to check that out. That is going to be extremely exciting to watch. Wednesday night, we will have the Northeast Racers at 7:30 Eastern, followed by the Outcast SR8 Series at 9 Eastern. And, of course, we'll be back here next Sunday at 7:30 Eastern to watch the BRR guys go at it again, especially after the huge points changes the last 2 weeks. For everybody at BRR, all the admins, thank you all for tuning in. Hope you all have a great night.